Thank you. Thank you, Kendall.
I'm not that guy.
The judge told me.
They're recording.
Oh, how to see it? They're going to need to use it, right?
Is the volume up? Did you put the volume up?
Right, yeah.
Make sure the volume is up enough. It's okay? Is the volume up? Okay. Thank you, baby. Thank you so much. Do we need to get another phone, Scott?
Maybe.
Anybody else have a phone we can record on? Richard? Wait, I'm going to get Richard. Richard, can we use your phone? Thank you. I need to put it right here. I'm sorry, you guys, for the technical difficulties.
We got it.
Okay, we got it. We got it. Okay. Hi, everyone.
You got it?
Yeah, we got it. I'm Tyla. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And welcome to the BBA workshop. I'm so glad you're all here. You know, you never know who's going to show up till you show up. And I see so many familiar faces, people I haven't seen for a while. And last time they were in my workshop, I didn't have gray hair. And so, you know, it's been a long time. And we're going to have... I want to say we're going to have fun, and we're going to go through an experience, I think, like you haven't had before, some of you that haven't done the work. We're going to do a meditation, and then I'm going to talk about the history of BBA and how it got here, and Joe's going to talk about his experience with BBA. I'm going to talk about how to do step partners, kind of how to lay out the homework, and that you get a structured way to do it, and that you understand it clearly. So parking, you do not have to pay for. Anybody here pay? Okay. Boy, that's really awesome.
Addicts don't like it.
Right?
I don't want to give my money away.
And the bathrooms are open. The bathroom in the front is open, and the bathroom in the back side is also open. And coffee is ready.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do a meditation. Let's do the set-aside prayer. God, please enable me to set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. Help me see the truth about my... Somebody better do it. I'm going to do the 4-step one. Yeah, Alex, you want to do it?
I don't remember this meeting.
Do you know it? Thank you. Thank you, Ivy. You're on it now. No, I don't think I do. I can just put my mic by it. I can just put this by it, can't I? Yeah. Feedback. Okay, what?
I'm going to bring copies of the literature, so when you mention them, I can help you.
Okay. I'm not, am I on again?
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear it. Okay? Yep. Welcome. We're going to go around the room, and all of us are going to introduce ourselves and our addiction, and if we've done the work. Okay? So let's start here, go here, and here.
Alex, alcoholic addict. I've done the work.
Scott Allen on it, done the work.
Rick, alcoholic, addict, I've done the work.
Meg, alcoholic, I have not done the work.
And if you're looking for someone, you can say, I'm looking for someone to partner with. Go on.
Hi, my name's Carmelita. I'm an alcoholic and I've done the work.
Oh, hi, I'm Brittany, I'm a heroin addict, and I've not done the work.
I'm Bree, I'm an addict, and I've done the work.
I'm Ivy, I'm an addict and recovering eating disorder, and I have done the work.
My name's Janine, I'm an addict, alcoholic, I have not done the BBA.
Welcome.
My name is Caitlin, I'm an alcoholic addict, and I've not done the work.
Welcome.
My name is Kendall, I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I'm currently doing the work.
Welcome.
My name is Richard, I'm an alcoholic and a crystal meth addict, and I have done the work.
My name is Shakira. I'm grateful to know that I'm a alcoholic, and I continue to do the work.
All alcoholic user. I would love to take someone on. I've done work.
John, addict, have done the work.
Kirsten, alcoholic, I've done the work.
I'm Kim and I'm an alcoholic, drug addict, and I've done the work.
Roxy, alcoholic, I've not done the work. Vanessa, alcoholic, I've not done the work.
Kelsey, I'm an alcoholic. I have done the work.
I'm just
Then you're gonna get a lot of people come up to you after the meeting.
Sarah, alcoholic, I'm continuing.
Alex, alcoholic, also continuing. My name is Denny, I'm a drug addict, I have not done the work, I'm looking for a step partner.
I am Natasha, alcoholic, recovered eating disorder, and I have done the work.
Brooke, alcoholic, addict, recovering eating disorder, done the work on alcohol and drugs, not on eating disorder.
Sally, alcoholic, and mostly done the work.
No, like,
Mitch, alcoholic, done the work. Michael, I'm an addict, alcoholic, I haven't done the work yet.
I'm Rex, alcoholic, addict, eating disorder, sex and love addict. I've done the work, looking for a partner.
What are you looking for a partner on? Anything?
I'm gonna pray on this.
So great to have you here. Okay, Sarah.
I'm Sarah, I'm an alcoholic addict and a food addict, and I do need someone to take me through the work. I have done the work.
You want a partner to take through the work. Good.
Josh, alcoholic, addict, and I have done the work.
Portland alcoholic, and I've done the work. Drew alcoholic addict, ain't done the work, looking for a partner.
Mia, alcoholic addict, I've done the work.
Lisa, alcoholic addict, food addict, codependent, continuing the work.
I'm Beecher, I'm an alcoholic addict. I did the work, but I'm a visitor.
It's okay, we take visitors.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Carlos, alcoholic and addict, I've done the work.
Hi, Carl.
Josh addict, I have not done the work.
Moses, alcoholic, have not done the work.
I'm Greg, an alcoholic, drug addict, I have done the work.
Colin, alcoholic, have not done the work.
Lynn, Alan, I think she did the work.
Ellie, alcoholic, looking for someone to do the work with. I'm Karen, Al-Anon, I have not done the work.
John, alcoholic addict, and a few other things, I have done the work.
Bob, alcoholic, I've done the work.
Brian, alcoholic,
Hey,
addict,
Brian.
I've done the work.
Sarah, alcoholic, I have not done the work, and I'm looking for a partner.
Okay.
I am Mikey, I'm an addict. I have not done the work.
Okay, Joe.
Me?
No, what? You gotta introduce yourself.
Joe. I'm Joe, I'm an alcoholic and addict, and I have done the work.
We didn't do this.
We're starting here and going back. Or back to forward. Going back.
Alex, alcoholic addict, I've done the work.
My name's Corey, I'm an addict, and I'm currently doing the work.
Forrest, alcoholic addict, done the work, and I'm looking for a partner to do the work with.
I am Christy, alcoholic addict, and I've done the work.
Kim, alcoholic, food addict, codependent, looking for someone to do the work.
To take through the work. She's done the work.
But, no, but I
Yeah. You can take someone new, excuse me, that's what I'm saying, right, Kim?
I'm Grisha, codependency issues, and I don't know jack.
You're in the right place. Good to have you.
Rodney, alcoholic, and yes, I've done the work.
Vanessa, alcoholic, and I'm looking for someone to take me to work.
Nicole, alcoholic, addict, and I'm available to help somebody through the work.
I'm an addict named Jeremy. I'm looking for somebody to take me through the work.
Tyler, alcoholic and addict. I'm currently doing the work.
Sean, heroin addict, alcoholic. I'm currently doing the work and looking for a partner.
I'm Mario. I am a grateful, recovered alcoholic. I work with others. Gone through the steps.
Erica, alcoholic, addict. I've also done the work and I'm available to go through the work with somebody.
Mercedes, alcoholic. I've done the work, but it's been a while.
Good to see you.
I'm Nick, alcoholic.
Back there?
My name is Ron. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I've done the work and I'm looking for someone to do it.
My name is Joanna. I'm an alcoholic and I'm also a food addict. I've done this work, this will be my sixth time since 2013. Mostly I've done it in alcohol, but I will be doing it this time in food.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
I just have a quick question. Does it, like, I don't understand, like, when you do the work, is there a difference between doing it for alcoholism and, say, eating?
Well, it's a different addiction.
But it's the same work.
It's the same solution.
Same solution, right?
Yes, but if you can work with a like addiction, it's always more effective.
All right, I see.
I mean, if Joe's, you know where I'm going.
Go.
No, you know what I mean? If I, you know,
got it.
talking to someone about food, if I'm a food addict, is very different than talking to a heroin addict about food. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, I never sold my ass for a piece of chocolate cake. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. She has.
Go, girl.
One piece or a whole cake?
Sliver.
I sponsor her, so I know. We're very close. I can say those things. I would say it anyway. So, let's just talk a few minutes about the journey, how the BBA got here, and how it's going to look for us to do a constructed workshop, okay? You know, I want to say this July will be 16 years that Big Book Awakening has been in San Diego. And I know, you know, there are people, Lisa from the beginning, and Brian, and Richard's been around pretty close to the beginning. There's a lot of people here that have from the beginning. And Lisa spoke with Dan Sherman. Do you remember that? That was so cool. You were relatively new. A year, and she spoke at this day in the steps with Dan. It was, what a great day that was. So I was 12 years sober, and you know, I had been doing, and bear with me if you've heard this story before, you know, and Joe's going to talk about how he got involved in BBA too. I was 12 years sober, you know, and I was doing everything that they told me to do in Alcoholics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous. You know, I was doing the steps as best as I could through some well-known step works, right? And what I heard was, you know, do the steps once, live in 10, 11, and 12, inventory when you're really hurting, you know, and life should be good. Well, I had the same sponsor for the first 8 years, you know, and I had done the work more than once, but I didn't know, let me say, at 12 years sober, I was so down inside and depressed and struggling, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I remember going to meetings and telling people, you know, that, you know, I don't know what's going on inside of me. You know, I'm this, and this is what's going on. And, you know, they'll give me suggestions. This too will pass, you know. Just go to a lot of meetings and do this, but you know what? None of that was working. And it was hard to go to meetings and say that I was having a hard time because people weren't getting it. You know, like they didn't have an answer for me except kind of bear through it and kind of white knuckle through it. You know, I didn't have, so it's hard for me because I'm so happy to be here to get in that place where I'm thinking about that day when I was so hopeless, you know, and so I never thought when I came in that I would ever be suicidal in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, and they say, you know, more alcoholics die from suicide untreated than they do from drinking and drugging. And, you know, I couldn't even imagine I'd ever be there. And I was at home and I was sitting on my bedroom floor and I was thinking, I have guns, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm 12 years sober and I want to blow my fucking brains out. And I couldn't believe that my life had gotten to that place. I couldn't, because I had done everything you told me. You know, I was working with others, going to meetings, doing what I thought was this program out of the book. You know, I didn't know that I wasn't. And, you know, God works miracles, and I hope that we all get awake to the greater miracles that are in our life, because, you know, you can be asleep to them. And the next day, I went to meet with someone I sponsor, and she said to me, you know, I know you love to listen, I think they were cassettes then. I know you love to listen to talks by speakers. Weren't they cassettes? Yeah, by speakers. And she said, you gotta hear this guy. He is so incredible. And you know, I was like, I would do anything, right? So I left visiting with her and I put the cassette in my car, and it was Mark Houston. And I put it in my car, and I'm telling you, I thought God was speaking to me through my car. I had never heard recovery like that in my life. I couldn't believe it. I mean, how could I be around 12 years and never hear anything like that, you know? And I kept listening. I listened so much to Mark Houston. People were calling me Tyla Houston around me because I wanted to get what he was. It was the set of CDs. I don't even know if they're online. Probably it's called the Glass House, right? It's called the Glass House, and I don't know if it's up on, but it's called the Glass House. If you ever can listen to it, it's incredible. And what I wanted to get what was on those CDs into my soul. I wanted so much what he had. I heard something in his voice that I did not hear in the rooms. And I just thought I have to have this. So after like 3 or 4 months of listening to him all the time, I found him in Texas and flew him out here. And at first we started working on the phone. And Mark said to me, he sent me a tornado exercise, an unmanageability exercise. It is up online, by the way. Some of you people that have been around come to me and say, do you still have the tornado exercise? It is online. You can Google tornado exercise and get it. And it's a great exercise. And none of us have been tornadoes, though. But he sent me the tornado unmanageability exercise, right? And so I did it, you know, and it was really around the bedevilments, which I never even knew what the bedevilments were. I had no idea. No one had ever explained to me the bedevilments. And I'd done work with, I think, some pretty strong, big book people, and I never knew what they were. So I looked at my life and saw the unmanageability, and then Mark said to me, you know, do you think you have any present-day agnosticism? And who the hell knows what that is, right? I said, you know, I don't even know what that word means, right? So he sent me another exercise on present-day agnosticism. And so by the time he came out here, you know, and he did some talks and he did some stuff at the Live and Let Live Alano Club. You know, he spoke there. It was such a great time. And, you know, he came out quite often, and I worked with him, and he taught me the Big Book Awakening. And then after 2 years, let me just say this. When I started to see and hear on those cassettes about the spiritual malady and about being untreated, and when the spiritual malady is overcome, I straighten out mentally and physically. When I started to hear that, there's a real difference in hearing it between hearing it and experiencing it. You know what I mean? And when I started to do the work, and I remember sitting down to do the transcribe. No one in San Diego was doing the Big Book. I sat down to do this transcribing. I would have done anything, you know, to get freedom from the situation that I was living on internally. And I was transcribing, and I'm telling you, when I started transcribing, I started to feel different. I started to have an experience with the transcribing because that big book started to talk to me. Because you see, it was always a book out there, and then it became a book that spoke to my heart and not to my head, and it was very different. And as I went through transcribing and working with Mark, you know, things inside of me started to change. Because, you know, I'm not one that's big on busy work. I mean, I know, like Richard's color-coded. You know, he loves it. And, you know, if you want to do your big book color-coded, he can show you how. And sometimes it's fun to do the book a little bit, you know, with some different ideas to make it more interesting. So after about 2 years, Mark introduced me to Dan Sherman. And then I worked with Dan, who wrote the Big Book Awakening, for about 10 years. And that was, you know, such a gift, you know, to, you know, Dan passed away about, I want to say 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Huh? 2? It seems longer, you know, when you're so close to someone, you know, because I talk to Dan numerous times every day, you know, and there's a seat up here if you want one. Well, I know her. Come on, baby. Come on. Woo! Good to see here, right here. Good to see you. I love this girl. Good to see you. What a joy to have you. So then I started to work with Dan, and you know, and then the workshops. The workshop, really, I never started to do this work and think, you know, I'm going to do workshops and this is going to happen and we're going to have meetings. I never thought of that. I just was trying to save my ass. You know what I mean? And it started, you know, when it's God's will, it kind of just comes and has like this force of its own, you know, that's a little bit different than me trying to plan it and figure it out. And I would call Mark after I'd done the work and I'd say, I can't stand there's no meetings, blah, blah, blah. I got to bitch into Mark about the meetings. Just get off your ass and go out there and form the fellowship you crave. Right? And that's the way Mark was. And you know what? Then we started, a group of us started to do workshops at the Gay and Lesbian Center. And so that's where BBA was birthed in San Diego. And, you know, I'm so grateful for that because I think that community is more open-minded. I think that God birthed it in exactly the right place because they can think out of the box. Their life has been being able to accept things a little differently. And that group of people just loved it and supported it, and it grew from there to the Live and Let Lana Club, to meetings, and to here, and to all the meetings that we have. And, you know, it's been a great journey that I never expected, and I'm so grateful that for people this is available. Quickly, the meetings, the Big Book Awakening meetings have never meant to be a fellowship. You know, we did consider it, we did think about it, but the meetings were created so that people would have a place to go that wanted to do the work. It wasn't, the AAC, all of those are great fellowships. Take what you do when you come to our meetings and take it out there into the fellowships that you go to and carry a stronger message. That's all what I have always hoped for, you know, that this shouldn't be, we have enough fellowships. We shouldn't be a fellowship. So, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so that's kind of the basic. You'll hear more as we go through the work. Now I'm going to let Joe share how he got into it, and then I'll share.
Do you share the work about the work?
And then I'll share about how to do the work.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
I thought I had more. No. Does this thing work? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Is it working?
Yeah.
No, not really?
No.
Is that better?
Joe, we can always
Put it to your mouth.
Right there?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah. And then you can turn
Tell them how the BBA can
pick up.
Yeah?
It's Kristen.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Go, baby.
Joe, I'm alcoholic and addict. Thanks, Tyla. It's so weird being here to do a workshop with you. I've been to 2 of your workshops.
I am weird.
Yeah, and it's great and it's phenomenal. And my experience with this, so I just want to say, first of all, that if you're just doing the work or you're back into the work, I would encourage you to make this a priority. Mm-hmm. Right? If you have to reduce your meetings to make this one of your meetings, then so be it. If you have to get a new sponsor because your sponsor doesn't approve of this, then so be it. And that's what we have to do. I have found that you might surpass your sponsor with knowledge of the big book and understanding of the big book and how the steps work and whatnot, and that might be the case. And so that's just what I've had to tell people, you need a new sponsor, And that's why the BBA fellowship is so good, because there's lots of people who can sponsor you, take you through the work, and hear your inventory. Because when you get to inventory, you'll know what I'm talking about. Right? And the stuff I was hearing in the meetings and what I was hearing from my sponsors was completely different than what I was hearing when I came to my first workshop in the Live and Let Live Alano Club. And I was, make it a priority. Because you'll see when you get into the 4th step that all of a sudden life starts happening, and all of a sudden I have a job. If you're homeless or you're not working,
right?
That's where I came from. But I got a job, or I got a relationship, and all this other stuff on the outside starts happening, and all of a sudden I don't have time for this, and blah 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 blah, and it's gonna happen. All right, just trust me. Mm-hmm. So I'm just warning you now, and I'll warn you again later when I talk later. So my experience with Alcoholics Anonymous was a lot like Tyla's, but I couldn't get sober. So she was 12 years sober, planning to shoot herself in the head, and I was 12 days sober with a needle in my arm again. And that's what it was like for me. And I was going into rooms, and I was doing everything that they said, and they'd tell me, they would say, put the chairs away, who's willing to help us move, the people who are willing to, right? I was moving people, I was doing stuff, I was helping out, and then pay me shit, and I didn't get sober. So I was bitter in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was doing everything they told me, and I was reading the book with my sponsor. I had one sponsor who had me transcribe the 12 and 12, and I would transcribe the 12 and 12 word for word, yeah, it's a coffee coaster, right? I had a book with that book. I don't want to get started. But I shouldn't say that. Very helpful.
I say too.
I'm all about the big book. But I would live with sponsors, and I'd smoke meth in their bathroom, So it was everything I would hear about, how to stay sober and how to get sober and how to be sober and how to be a productive member of society didn't work for me. At least so I thought. All right? And I'd been in 10 treatment centers. I'd been in a handful of sober livings. And I couldn't get this thing. All right? And I was in my last inpatient treatment. I had gone to treatment one more time. And looking at my history now, since I've done the work through the Big Book Awakening, through the Big Book, I'd say I have one relapse in my story, as opposed to being a chronic relapser. And my experience has been that the Big Book doesn't lie to me. All right? And going through the book and turning statements into questions, I have an experience with that, with the book, me and myself with the book. I get it. You know what I mean? And it became this book that wasn't just these stories of these people and reading these things and this guy Bill and whatnot, and it became my life. And I saw my life in these pages. But I was in treatment, and someone I had known was there, and he handed me a Big Book Awakening booklet. And I opened it up, and of course I turned to page 84 through 88, because that's something that we did in treatment. A lot of time they have you read 84 through 88. And where I came from in LA, there was a treatment center out there, and that's what we did on a daily basis. We would read 84 through 88 and go through our day and plan out our day and blah, 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 blah. So I turned to it, and the way it was written in there was completely different than how I had understood it before. And so I said, what is this? What did you just give me? And they said, you should go meet this woman, Tyla. And I went to this meeting. It wasn't the workshop first. First I went to this meeting a long time ago that was upstairs in the Gay and Lesbian Center. And it was dark room, these weird people. It was hot. It was this little cult. And I was like, whatever. So then 6 months later or something, I went into this it was a workshop, and it was this big, at the Live and Let Live Alone Club. And she was in step 2. And I heard this woman speaking, and big tits and big lips, I'm there. Love it. All my little gay boys were there too. We're like, oh! Circle, yay! Love it. So I heard this woman speaking, and it was speaking to my soul. All right. Same experience that she talked about with Mark Houston. I had the same experience in those rooms. And she said, if we're already in step 2, you won't be able to catch up. I said, like hell. And I caught up. And I caught up on all the assignments, because that's the way.
That's 8 assignments.
It was 8 assignments, and I did it in a week and a half. Because I was determined to go through the work. And I went through all the way up to steps 8 and 9, and I balked in amends. And fear crept in, and I relapsed. And I had one relapse. I was gone for 7 months. And I got back into the room, and I got back and saw Tyla, and she was in the meeting, and I was like, full of shame, because here I am again. They'd ask me questions like, what's changed this time, what's different this time, and I finally got to the point where I didn't have an answer for that question, because nothing was different. Here I am again. It's a different time period. There's different players in the game, but it's all the same. I'm loaded, And maybe the consequences weren't as bad this time. Maybe I didn't lose everything this time, but most of the times I did. I had to get arrested or be homeless or something drastic like that to happen for me to get free and to get an opportunity to try and get sober. So I went up to her and I said, I relapsed, and she said, well, did you experience the obsession? And I said, yes. And she said, did you experience the craving? I said, yes. And she gave me a high five and said, well, then we're in business. And that was it. And I was like, oh my God, I love her. So I went back through the work. I finished my amends and finished the steps. I finished the amends while I was going back through the work. Because this is the first time I heard, well, why would I start over when I had already done that work? I had my sponsors kept starting me over every time I relapsed, starting me over. And I'm like, God damn it, I read those stories like 15 times. I'm so over this, you know what I mean? I've relapsed so many times, I'm stuck in the beginning of the big book, because I can't ever get past it. And I can never get to the point where having a spiritual experience through the completion of the steps could get me free and get me sober until I did it this way. And I did that, and then the beginning of my sobriety, I could barely even talk. People would ask me how much time I have, and I would just say enough, because I couldn't speak. And you wouldn't know that now, but I really don't like speaking.
You're so good.
It. But and then I started sponsoring. I shared at a meeting, and someone asked me to be their sponsor, and here I had 7 months, 8 months sober, and people were asking me to start sponsoring them. And then I started taking them through this work, and the only way I sponsor is through this work. And this work has continuously changed my life. And I think that going through the work, even now today, there will be fear that will come up that will tell me that I don't want to look at this stuff again. I don't want to look at it again. We've already gone over it. I don't want to look at my relapse history. I don't want to look at my first step. I don't want to look at my alcoholism, my drug addiction and whatnot, because it's in the past, you know what I mean? And I don't want to dig that stuff up again because it's going to start bringing up feelings again. And that fear, I'm either going to face it through the work or I'm going to face it alone at night. And that's how you get people with 5 years, 10 years, 15 years sober. They go back out. They don't continue to go through the steps. They don't continue to have this process, this work to experience the first step experience and go through the rest of the steps. And you see them and they relapse, And I also think that the faith that I've had, right, can be a noose around my neck. And so each time I go through the work, I get a new experience. And I've been through the work several times. I've transcribed a big book 5 or 6 times until I got a little burned out on it. I'm like, I have all these big books, I don't know what to do with it. And I continue to take people through the work. And I've been through 2 of Tyla's workshops. And I'm a regular member of the BBA Wednesday night meeting. And this work has changed my life. And it's changed the life of the people around me. Because not only is it changing my life, but all whose lives I touch. You know what I mean? And like the tornado that I roar around people's lives and I wrecked all these people's lives, the same way when my life is recreated, I also touch the people's lives around me and we're changing the world here. You know what I mean? It's like we're changing everything. And my family's great. My work is okay. But, it's work. What do you say? I got resentments. Yeah, I got them. But we'll get there. But this work, that's how it came to me. And I've been so ever grateful for it. And I hope you guys get a lot out of this workshop. And just so you know, you're actually going through the steps. I want people to know that we're working the steps right now. Because a lot of people don't really get it. They think that this might be a little meeting that they're going to. And if you use it as a meeting, that's fine. Use that as a meeting. Maybe you're only here to get a seed planted, and that's fine too. You know what I mean? But maybe you should sit in the back and not share. We should reserve the right to people who are doing the work should be the ones that are sharing on the work and their experience through the work this time. But if you're not doing the work, I would encourage you to not share. And use this, though, maybe you just need it to be, a seed planted here. Because that's all we're doing sometimes is we're just planting little seeds. And maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't, I don't know. So that's all I have to share. So So thanks, and enjoy the workshop.
Tyla Alcoholic. You don't have to clap, you guys, because we're recording it, you know. So, I mean, you can if you want, but since I'm in control, we can go, which I love. You know, I love the deaf people do this. Isn't that beautiful? Have you watched them? You know, when we're at SoCal Speakers, what a great meeting, by the way. You know, Lisa spoke there this past week, and Natasha spoke there 2 weeks ago. You know, Kirsten rocked the room there. I mean, all of these speaker tapes are up on SoCal Speakers. And you know, I love to watch them. When you're at SoCal Speakers and you watch the interpreters, they're so interesting the way that they do it. I mean, watch. This is delusion. Do you love that? Getting hooked in the mouth, right? Do you love that? I mean, that was my favorite. You know, because isn't that? I just think sometimes, you know, we're missing out on. Do you love that, Richard? I knew you would. I'm crazy. Okay, so I know it. So I always think if you know you're crazy, you're not crazy. But
Delusion.
I feel so honored to do the workshop with Joe. I want you to know that. You know, he's like a brother to me, and I love him so dearly. And you know, our bottoms were so low. I mean, I was doing prostitution in motels and living on the streets, and you know, I wasn't under a bush, though. I was close. But I mean, you know, we're such a miracle. You know, God's grace has done so much in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. So I'm gonna, I want to say a few things about why you're here. I want you to consider why you're here. I really want you to consider making a commitment in the next week or two to the workshop. And, you know, we concede to our innermost self on page 30. Well, I'm asking you to concede to your innermost self that you're making a commitment to this workshop, that it's just not another little casual stop on the road of your recovery, and you'll come when you feel like it, and you won't come, and oh, it's Mother's Day, we'll go to brunch instead of dinner. You know, you'll make the things, what you make, what's important in my life is the way that I treat it, okay? And I've been through the BBA, let me think, probably 12 times. And why would I continue to do the work? Why would we continue? You know, I never heard that people continued to do the work until I worked with Mark. I was, you know, and that all came, which I'll talk about next week, that all came out of York Street in Denver. You know, and AA in Colorado and Texas is different than here. I mean, it is strong, and it's common to do all 12 steps. It was not common. I never heard that. You know, and that was not common with Bill W. It was common with Dr. Bob. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people thought Bill should go more back through the steps. You know, and that's why I struggled so much and was in a depression for 12 years and wrote the 12 and 12. So, you know what I mean? Because it's the truth. You know, because I mean, and there's lots of good things in it. You just can't do the steps by it. But so why would I continue to do the work? I continue to do the work because everything in my life is experienced from the state of my spiritual condition, whether fit or unfit. See? And when the state of my internal condition is changed, everything I experience changes. And when I feel like I'm getting, because I was talking to someone today, Dave Marquez, about because Dave just told me he needed to do the work, right? He goes, I need to do the work, you know. When do you feel, what happens inside of you when you feel like you need to do the work? You know what I mean? What's going on for me, you know? And one of the things I see is that if I'm not doing well, I'm trying to fix the way I feel on the inside with external circumstances. I'm trying to, and the more money you have, the longer it'll take you to want to do the work. Right? It's the truth. You know, I'm very grateful I came in here so poor because I didn't have a new car to buy to fix my feelings. You know what I mean? I had to do the work. And that's why I find that more in low bottom areas, they do the work more. You know, because they can't go out and materially fix this stuff because it does fix sometimes for a while. step 0. You know, step 0 is the time that I come into the program and I haven't surrendered and I go around and around trying other options, right? Maybe a new relationship, maybe a little sex addiction, maybe a little internet porn, maybe some food. We'll put that down here for it. And, you know what I mean? So that's the time that I surrender, because I may know alcohol and drugs don't work, but I got other ideas, right? I got other ideas. I'll do this or that. And that step 0 is the time that I come in powerless over my primary addiction until I admit all the other things that aren't working. And then I start doing the program. So for me, I want to continually grow. I'm not powerless today. I'm powerless if I pick up. But I'm not powerless today because I have God in my life and God works through me and in me. But is there more power for me today than I have? When I'm seeing in my life that, you know, I really want to make that commitment to the gym. I know I got ID on the TV, but I can't get off the couch, but I really want to go to the gym, right? When I start to see these things where there's kind of, for me, a stuck place, you know, where life, I know you can relate, Ivy. I mean this loving way, that where you get kind of flat, life feels kind of flat. You know what I mean? It's like it's not as alive as it used to be. And I like to technically go through the work. I used to go through the work every year and a half. Then it was 2 years, you know. And so I would say now it's 2.5 years I want to go through the work, because I don't always think that I can tell when I need to go through the work. Because I think I can get so delusional that things that I feel like things are okay when they're not, because the way that things kind of slip away into a kind of an untreated state inside of me, where prayer and meditation, I did it Monday, it's Thursday, maybe. Oh, Tyla might call me, I better do it. You know, that's my response. He said, right? Prayer and meditation starts, not you. You know, you always do it. Yeah, prayer and meditation starts slipping off. One of the biggest ones is I may be reading 84 through 88, but I'm not making 10-step amends. When I'm a little shit, I'm not calling you back on the next day and saying, you know what, I was wrong, and I want to make amends. Or I'm walking out of, you know, I want to say a drugstore, a grocery store, you know, where where I've been rude to someone, but I don't take the time to go back. I've done that. I had to go back, you know, because there comes a time when I really do have a God conscience, because my conscience, I may never go back, you know, but when God's consciousness starts to live within me, then I have a consciousness that is different than that, and I can't live with that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? You can't live with it, and I don't want to live with it. So, but that stuff starts, prayer and meditation starts to get iffy, making my 10-step amends, and most importantly, finishing my 8-step amends list. And I could go around the room and ask all of you that are here that have done the work, if you finished your 8-step, all of your amends that you're conscious, I have, that you're consciously aware of. Okay. Dan Sherman, the meeting that Jan Sherman had, the guy that wrote the Big Book Awakening in Santa Monica, that Joe Hawk started to sponsor, for a while, you couldn't share at that meeting unless you'd finished all your 9-step amends. These were some tough guys. Right? And don't think Joe Hawk wouldn't call you on and want to see the damn list. And Dan would be over his shoulder. You know what I mean? They were, but it isn't that way anymore. But they, you know, because they felt that 9-step amend finishing were so important, and probably you finished them all. I know people sitting here that have finished them all, and the difference in when I got here and started doing BBA, I had not finished them all. I finished the ones that I thought were important, right? The ones that I wanted to do, you know what I mean? But when these guys, they put a lot of importance on the consciousness of finished amends and unfinished amends is completely different. And so these are the kind of things that start looking at, you know, if I'm not living a recovered life, and what we're going to look at it. Oh, your homework assignment this week is the first assignment was you're going to look and answer questions on the circle and triangle, which is to me like a compass of my life. I consider that every week. Where am I at in the circle and triangle? Because that gives me a balance of my life. mental, physical, and spiritual. Where am I at? Am I doing too many meetings and not enough step work? I need a balance. The big book's going to call me on that balance 2 times, on page 17 and on page 75. It's going to call me on that to look at that balance. So if I'm not living a recovered life, and what does that mean to me? Because that's a good question for you guys to consider. Because part of the homework this week is going to have, this is the AA way of living. And what does that mean to me? Because it says the AA way of living has its benefits for all, not just alcoholics and addicts, for everyone. You know, and every addiction's welcome at this workshop, by the way. So, living a recovered life, if I can say, okay, I know I'm a heroin addict, a crack addict, an alcoholic. I know all that. But I don't need to sponsor. Right? I just don't need to sponsor. Maybe they need to sponsor, but I don't need to sponsor. And I don't need to do 10 and 11 every day. Right? And the amends, I only do the big ones, and I only make amends on 10 when it's really bad. So my life, I tell you something with my mouth, but my life is showing you something else. I'm going to have to live this. This is the AA way of living. Not the AA way to quit drinking and using or codependency or whatever you're here, food, whatever it is. This is a way of life. And the most important thing is, am I living it? And have I done all 12 steps? Am I working with others? To me, you don't get this program if you're not working with others. To me, it's the second half of the program. You know what I mean? That's where everything I did in 1 through 12 becomes ingested and given away, and to a whole nother degree it lives inside of me. So I have to look at these things. Why are you here? Why are you here?
To get more freedom,
Mm-hmm.
more knowledge, that's all.
I agree with Natasha.
Why are you here?
As well.
See, I know that when I go through the steps again, I'm going to have greater peace, greater joy, greater happiness, and the inside of me, I'm going to experience life different. I get restless, irritable, and discontent, and I think, do I need to go through this? I don't think you need to go through the steps every time you overreact on internet porn or something. Doesn't mean you're a sex addict, but you can talk to someone here and probably find out. But you know what I mean? Every time you have a problem doesn't mean you need to do another 12-step program. It can get, this group, we can get crazy in worshiping the process instead of God. Because I thought everything that I needed to do in this program was go to meetings, get a sponsor, read the big book, do the steps, and all of those things together would give me the life I want. All those things together will take me to the power that will give me the life that I'm looking for. And I didn't know that. So I ask you to consider this week making a commitment. What's the way of living mean to me? There's other things in there in your homework. And why am I here? Because if you don't know why you're here, you're not going to stay here.
Good coffee.
Do coffee? Joe said get a coffee commitment. So we do need commitments, you guys, here. You're so funny. So we do need commitments. Do you want to share something on that, Joe? Okay, Joe? Duck at me. Okay. So do I believe that I'm still an alcoholic? Do I believe me that I'm still an alcoholic and a drug addict, right? That I really have a progressive disease, and that how far am I from picking up or using? Because if the disease is progressive, the recovery better be progressive. Because I want my recovery to be with my higher power, with God. I want my recovery ahead of my progressive disease. Did it just go away? Or did something happen and now I can control, I think, and don't think this doesn't happen, that I could just control taking a drink. Or control smoking a few bowls of crack on the weekend. Not a problem, you know? I mean, don't think they ever don't sound good. You know what? I watched that intervention and they're smoking crack and oh man. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go score it, but don't think it doesn't look good. Because there's a difference between a desire and an obsession. Okay? And I don't think you ever experience that unless you do the work in a really deep way, you know? But I don't kid myself, you know? I haven't had to turn off intervention though. But I can look at it and say, you know what, man, that looks good. I remember that was good. And I don't think, oh, think it through. Bullshit. I think it through and go score. You know what I mean? I need something greater than myself between me and that, and a psychic change. You know, not, gosh, sometimes I'm just going to say these things. I can't help myself, Joe. You know that damn thing in the back of the big book that says spiritual experience? Do you know it says a personality change? Did you come in here and need a personality change? Hell no. I needed to have a psychic change and a spiritual experience. A personality change. I gotta go to a therapist for that. Right? I mean, that's a funny thing to me. Did you ever think how funny that is, Lisa? That's damn funny. A personality change. Really? Me too! I like yours too. Yours is awesome. But you know what I'm saying? I didn't even consider that till recently. You know what I mean? That's another thing popped up. John likes that, right? I don't need a personality change, you know. I'm going to change the way I feel. You know, I don't think so. So do I think now that I have 28 years clean and sober that I could, these are very subtle ideas. Little termites. Little baby termites. And they will take your house down, your spiritual house. And those little termites will say, you probably could have 2 drinks. You probably could go out there and have 2 drinks. You don't even really like alcohol that much. You could probably have it because it wasn't your favorite. Your favorite was heroin and crack. Just go out there and have a couple of little drinky booze and you'll be fine. So I start to think maybe it's true, right? Maybe I could, right? So I have to be aware that that's one of the reasons that I go back through the work, okay? Do I think that I can control how much I drink or use if I went out there? And do I think on my own power, without the program, I can control not drinking or using? Because a lot of people with time are in that position that don't work programs. And they don't know they think that, but their life shows me they think that I can do it myself. Right? Any questions? Okay, so I think we knew we were going to close early. Let me tell you, please be here on time. I like people to be at my workshop, and I am tough about it because to me, this is the center of my life for the next 7 months that we're going to do this journey. And I'm so honored to do it with you because I'm going to be doing the work. But this is the center of my life. And when I'm doing a workshop, I'm studying every day because I want to bring to you the best recovery that you can have. And I have notes. I have a notebook this thick of all the recovery notes. And at each page I have step 1, because I love this work. And it has given me such a great life, and I want to help give that to you. I want you to have that. So please honor and respect the workshop. I know if you can't come, hi, so good to see you. Alex, hi Claudia. Hi Alex. If you can't come early, if it's an emergency, I understand. But if you can, please try to get here by 2:30. I'm going to tell you why. I know the workshop starts at 3, and your head's going to say, I don't need to be here till 3. But this is kind of a family atmosphere. We get to know each other. We get to see who does the work. We get to get phone numbers. And it's good to come for the social part. I'm always at meetings a half an hour early, and I always stay a half an hour late because I like the social part of the meeting. I like meeting people and doing that. So please try to do that. And I know that there may be days you're going to have to miss a day, and that's okay. But I hope that you'll work your life around your commitment because that'll show how important it is to you. So the assignment is, okay, talk about step partners real quick.
And the work.
What, honey?
And the work. How to do it.
They know how to do it. You tell them how to do it. Get up there.
Does everyone know what these are, right? No? Okay. I'm going to assume that you don't. So this is the Big Book Awakening. This is the Big Book. This is the big print, big book. We normally use big print just because the margins are bigger. You can hear me, right? Is the microphone on? Yep. Is it on?
You're good.
No?
Yes.
I can either. Okay. Yeah? It's on, okay. And this is the sponsorship guide. It has the assignments in it, and it also has questions in it. Now, everything in italics in the Big Book Awakening is going to go in your big book. Okay? So if the first assignment says you do the preface and the forewords, this is the first page. It says Alcoholics Anonymous, right? It says the promise of hope. Just says Alcoholics Anonymous. So let me stop there. Now, this is the first page in the big book.
It's blank.
It's blank.
The first page is blank, like
So
your mind.
it says 4th edition, the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism, 4th edition. That's it. Right? They took out the circle and the triangle for copyright complications. You know, if you have an early 3rd edition, you'll see a circle and triangle still in there. It's usually a hardback cover, a hardcover. What we do is everything that's in italics in the Big Book Awakening is going to go in your big book.
It explains it in the Big Book.
It does explain it in the Big Book Awakening, but you're going to draw the circle and the triangle, and you're going to write everything in italics. Okay? When you go through the pages, you don't want to cross everything out when you're writing it.
You can see it.
You still want to be able to read it, because when you're reading it with your step partner, usually you read it the untranscribed way.
Yes.
Okay? The transcriptions are for you. When I'm doing statements into questions, I'm considering it when I do that. Now that we have this workbook, there's also the questions that are going to be in here so you can actually answer them too. Okay? So we take in questions from, if you know what the Idiot's Guide was, and then questions from the Big Book Awakening so you can actually write out the answers to those questions.
Let me just say this. This.
The mic's on.
No, this, I know it's not on. They can hear me. The questionnaire in there that says questionnaire steps 1, 2, and 3 replaces the Idiot's Guide.
Yes.
Okay? The Idiot's Guide will still be up online for another year because we have people all over the world doing it. But we have a new sponsorship guide and a new questionnaire, and they are free downloads online, or you can buy it in this book form that has the 4-step sample packet in it and a bunch of other stuff, and makes it easy. But I think that you will enjoy the new questionnaire. There is a lot more questions.
There's more questions because some come from here.
And
some
from
come from
Dave.
the Idiot's Guide and Dave Marquez. But so when you're writing in here, and it says things like "Do I believe" for short, right? DIB, you know, and just write one line through it, and then write above it what.
And they can look at your book too after.
You can look at my book after, or and then there's examples in the Big Book Awakenings. But I just wanted to make that clear.
That's a good job.
This transcribes into this, and then you do the questions in here, and that's what you're going to go over with your step partner.
Yes.
You're going to read the big book, the chapter that we've gone through, and you're going to answer the questions with your step partner from the questions in the questionnaire.
Fine tip pen.
Fine tip pen that doesn't
Not if you're
bleed.
left-handed, do a regular ballpoint.
Sally,
that
what's your
thing will
question?
bleed all over the place. Fine tip. If you're left-handed, a regular plain ballpoint pen, the cheap ones, the 79-cent Bic pens, the ones that you used to use to sniff, you know, the bathroom. None of them have lids. None of them have lids. They're all been. Those ones are the best to use for if you're a lefty.
Sally?
Hi, Sally, alcoholic.
You can see it.
My question is this been updated? And I
No,
need to know
nothing's
just the
changed. Big Book Awakening has nothing has changed
Just
except the sponsorship, guide and the questionnaire.
And my other question is, I have a big book that's just the first 164 pages.
You can use it.
Okay.
You can use any book that you want to use. You know, there are some changes in the doctor's opinion.
Yeah.
The one that's 160. Yeah.
It's
a little complicated in the doctor's opinion, but if you can get through it, it's fine. And I use the hardcover. So do you?
I've used the hardcover.
I use the hardcover big book.
Thank you.
So, we'll the step partners, we will need to meet with them.
Let me say that. Okay, but I was just doing that. I mean, you're right on target.
I have a question here,
Alan.
I just want to clarify. Okay, I got this, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this.
Right, you got it all.
Okay, so I don't need to download anything
No. I just wanted you to know, I want the group to know that no one is forced to buy the $15 workbook. It's online for free downloads, and I also have it for $5 printed up here, so you know what I mean? So I didn't want it to corner anyone and say you have to spend this money on it. You know, that isn't right. But I want to go over real quick. So you go home, you do your assignment, you have your step partner, right? You transcribe into the book, right? Okay, you transcribe into your book the first assignment from the Big Book Awakening. You can do the questions with your step partner on the phone. And I suggest that you do them, you know, towards like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so you have enough time to transcribe. And because the doctor's opinion used to have 10 questions, and now it's 23. So if you, yeah, I know, I thought the same thing. It's a lot. But people have loved it. The feedback has been great. There's two groups doing this group and Leanne's and Pat's group, and the feedback has been really, I think it's a lot of questions too, but Leanne and I did it, and we want to hear the feedback.
And certain assignments, sorry, I'm going to say, really fast. Certain assignments are longer than others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not wise to just wait till the last day you're about to meet with your step partner and then try and transcribe everything really fast, because you're going to fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like a student, or if you have a really busy schedule, 20 minutes a day, every day, you can get it done. It's about 2 hours sitting.
About 2 hours worth of homework.
2 hours worth of homework a week.
Or less, depending on how, I mean, I give 2 hours just to make sure that anyone that's kind of slow on it can get through it. So
but once you get the groove going, you should be faster.
You're going to have 5 days or 7 days to do it.
Can you provide guidance to people who are doing a program other than alcohol and drugs on how to do the transcribing?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. If you're doing codependency or sex addiction or Al-Anon fixing and controlling codependency, where it says alcohol, you're going to just cross out alcohol and put fixing and controlling above, or sex addiction. And we do have idiot's guides for other addictions, and we will eventually have this one into those other addictions also. We just haven't done it yet because we're just in the kind of the first run of it. Okay. And so when you're working with your step partner on the phone, you can hear all of their questions and they can hear all of yours, or you can both do question one, question two, question two. See how you feel and how you want to do it. Are there any other questions? Mm-hmm. Brian?
If you want to buy a $15 workbook, where do you get it?
They're right here. They're all here. Thank you for asking.
So if I'm working the Al-Anon fixer, do I partner up with an Al-Anon fixer? Okay.
Fixer controller.
Fixer controller,
So if you've already done the steps, but are helping somebody else go through, are we still going to read question one?
Well, you haven't done the new workbook, right?
Right.
It's up to you. You know, if you have a step partner that's not in this workshop, which you can have, right? They don't have to be doing the work. If they've done BBA, they can be your step partner, and they're going to hear your questions. They don't necessarily have to be doing it themselves, just as long as they've done the work before. Does that make sense to all of you? Okay.
Yes, I do have a question.
Joanna?
I want to help someone go through it in alcohol, but I need someone that could go through it with food with me.
Okay. And we're going to stay after and hook people up. Any other questions? Hi, Carlos.
Carlos, alcoholic and addict. Is it the same when you're doing the workshop, the sponsor as the step partner? Because I've seen people like that have not done the work consider that they're doing the steps and not have the sponsor. And just
I'm a little confused with the question.
Like, is it the same to have the sponsor and or the step partner?
It's not that, well, it's just what's important, whether you call the person you're doing the work with your sponsor or your step partner. They need to have done the work or be doing the work with you.
Some people that are going through the work.
Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm
I
answering.
think he wants to know the difference between.
Yeah. So some people that are going through the work aren't necessarily going to be their sponsor that's taking them through the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to be their sponsor to be their step partner. Someone can have a sponsor that doesn't even do BBA and come here, get a step partner, and do the work. Is that okay?
And then they're going to get a new sponsor.
True. Okay. Any other questions?
One right here.
So I have a sponsor that's done the work, but he doesn't go to this workshop, so I can do my questions.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Any other questions? Okay, so the homework is, part of it is the circle and triangle. You're going to answer questions about where you're at in each part of the circle and triangle. I like, if you've done the work before, I like to go like in the physical part. Where am I at in the fellowship, but where am I at physically in my life? Doctor's appointment, dentist appointments, things that I'm neglecting in my life. So I inventory a little deeper if I've done the work. And same with the mental. How am I doing on the mental side, which is the steps, right? How am I doing in 10 and 11? And how am I doing in taking care of my mental well-being? Am I as addicted to busyness as I was to alcohol and drugs? Where's the peace in my life? You know what I mean? So it's good to look at it a little deeper if you've done the work. So that's the homework. And please, everyone that needs everyone that can take a step partner, can take someone through the work, stay. Everyone that needs someone to get someone, go, Joe.
Really fast, just where she's saying the assignment, it's on the first page. It says page 1 of 10 of the BBA workshop and 12-step sponsorship guide, the very first page. We just had the intro meeting. Right underneath it says 1 week before the first meeting, go over how to put big book. That's what we're doing right now. So it says assignment 1. In the AA big book, read everything up to the last forward, XXIV, and then put it in. I read it as I go through it. I don't read it and then go back through and then transcribe it. I read it while I'm transcribing. I put the Big Book Awakening right next to my big book, and I see where I need to mark something in there, because it'll say XXIV, paragraph 2, line 1, write this. It's very, very instructive. It's very easy.
Very easy, yeah. If I did it without anyone even be.
So, and it'll say read the BBA workbook, page 1 through 8, and put everything in your AA big book as per instructions as you read it, right? That's the Big Book Awakening. And then in the 1, 2, 3 question guide, answer all the circle and triangle, preface and forward questions 1 through 8.
It's very easy.
2 to 3. That's the assignment. And then the other assignment is what she's been telling you, the things you just gave them, right?
It was a circle
Where
and
you're at,
triangle.
circle and triangle.
Well, this is part of the
Why
first
am I here?
assignment.
Is it in there?
Yeah, circle and triangle. It's this is Big Book Awakening. Yeah. Okay. My phone number's up on BBA Works. You have any questions during the week? Let's pass the basket. Anyone want to grab a basket? Please feel free to call me. We do have expenses.
You can go in the coffee shop there. It's free.
Okay, let's everyone stay in their. Oh, go. Before you pass them, let's everyone stay in their seats and let's say the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let's turn it. Stop the recording. If everyone has their phones up.
Tyler, are you going to upload the recording?
Yes.